In this video, I'll explain why sitting for long periods can cause injuries in runners. Also, share some easy tips on how you can avoid it, and then I'll share my warm-up routine that I do before I go for an easy run that just helps loosen me up after a long day sitting in front of the laptop. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Maryke. I'm one of the physiotherapists from sportsinjuryphysio.com, where you can get online physiotherapy assessment as well as treatment for your injuries, all done via video call. Have a look at the description of this video if you want a link to our website. Now, sitting for very long periods of time can affect your joints, your muscles, as well as your nerves. So let's have a look at all of them. For the joints, our joints don't have arteries and veins going in and out of them. They rely on the changes in pressure to get fluid and that contains the nutrients and the oxygen in and out of the joint. So if you're sitting for very long periods, that means that your joints aren't getting as much nutrition as it should during the day. And that's also why they can feel so stiff when you then get up to move afterwards. Then it can cause muscle tightness, especially in the hip flexors, which is at the front of the hips. And if you're going to sit without back support, that's going to make them even more tight because they're going to have to work the whole day long. And that can lead to strains of the hip flexors, but can also just stop you from properly swinging your leg through, which may place strain on other parts of the body. Then another obvious one are the hamstrings, because you're sitting on the hamstrings, and tight hamstrings can also contribute to increasing your chances of getting hamstring strains when you run, especially if you're going to go do a fast running session afterwards. But then we're also tightening up the glutes because we're sitting on them the whole day long as well, and they can get quite stiff, and your low back, to be honest, can get quite stiff as well. And that leads to the next one, which is how your nerves can be affected. Now, our nerves are meant to slide freely in our legs as we run, and normally it's not a problem. If things are tight and the muscles are a little bit tight, they can hold onto the nerve and just prevent them from sliding so freely. And when that happens, we talk about increased neural tension. Now, increased neural tension is thought to play a role in predisposing you to getting calf strains as well as hamstring strains if it's the sciatic nerve that doesn't slide freely. If it's the front of the legs, those nerves that's not sliding freely, then it's quad strains that's mostly affected by that. But then there's also some evidence that it may contribute to tendinopathies, especially for people who you go, well, I haven't actually changed my exercise habits, but now I've ended up with a tendinopathy. Now, long periods of sitting can also cause the nerves to go to sleep a bit. Now, you may be thinking, why on earth does that happen? Well, it's because our bodies don't like wasting energy. So it's quite normal while you're moving and doing things during the day, the brain is constantly monitoring which parts are we using, how much activity do we need there? Okay, we're not using that anymore, take that away, put it there, so that it doesn't waste energy. So if we're sitting still for long periods of the day, especially not using our glutes, not using our hamstrings, not using our quads, the brain just goes, oh, we don't have to be that active in those places, and it down-regulates the nerve activity. So they go to sleep a little bit. Now, if you go running without actually waking all of them up, they can't react immediately as quickly as you can. So if you then have to do a quick movement, you can't react to that necessarily as quickly, and you're more easily going to strain a muscle or sprain an ankle or something. The good news is, it's really easy to wake them up again, and I'll show that as part of the warm-up routine. Now, the other thing that can happen is, because you get decreased circulation in all the areas that you're constantly sitting on and that you're not moving, it may mean that you don't actually recover as well from your training sessions you did the previous day as you would if you just moved a bit more during the day, because of that constant pressure on those areas. And I know especially my patients who's had high hamstring tendon issues in the past, they can feel that there's a lot more sensitivity if they sit for long periods the day after they've done some exercise. And it's just that it's not getting that much circulation, so all of those things that can sensitize the nerve endings is accumulating. So what can we do to help our bodies and prevent injuries from long periods of sitting? Well, I've got 3 tips for you. The first is something that anybody can do anywhere, and that is take more breaks, but take more active breaks. So if you think about it, you don't just want to go stand in one place and chat with somebody and think that, oh, now I've helped everything. It has helped a little bit, but if you move your joints and contract your muscles during the 2 minutes that you take a break, that will give you so much more. So even if you don't have a lot of time, just stand up, do 5 or 10 squats next to your desk, sit down again and go on. Or go and just do one flight of stairs up and down. Or walk the passage up and down a few times at least before you go stand and stare at the kettle for your cup of tea. Do something that makes you move, that will help increase your circulation throughout the day. Then second, if you can vary your sitting position or your work position, do that, because that's really brilliant. And the things you can think about is just change the type of chair you're on. So if you're at home especially, it's quite easy to change from a regular chair to perhaps sitting on a kneeling chair for a period of time. Or if you can get a standing desk, standing and working for 10 to 20 minutes is absolutely a brilliant thing every 1 or 2 hours. Now, just don't go overboard with the standing thing, especially if you're a runner who's training really, really hard. You actually need to rest your legs during that period as well. So don't go and stand all day long. That's also not that good. Just do short stints of standing and then go back to sitting. It's absolutely fine to sit for work. You just want to break it up. And then thirdly, do a simple warm-up before you start running. Now, I know that most of us, if you go for a run at the end of the day, just start really slowly and then ramps up the speed as you go. And you see that slow run as your warm-up. Now, yes, especially when you're young, that may be absolutely fine. And if you've not sat that much in the day, again, it may be absolutely fine. But if you've sat for long periods of day and you're a little bit older, you may find that things stiffen up even more for you. And you may actually benefit a lot from doing a simple warm-up before your easy runs. So the main thing with the warm-up is you want to move your joints that you're going to use for running through the full range of movement a few times so that they can get some fluid in and out and loosen up. And you want to take your muscles through the full range of movement you're going to use, and you want to activate those nerve endings. And the way you do that is you simply contract your muscles, because when you contract your muscles, your brain goes, oh, you want to use your muscles, so we better get them fired up. So there are a few exercises that you can do that incorporate all of these things in one go, so that it can cut down on how many things you have to do. So look at my warm-up, pick and choose what you want to do. You don't have to do everything I do. It will depend on what feels stiff for you on the day. I should also say, this is a warm-up for an easy run. It's not efficient or sufficient for a speed session. You're going to have to do extra things if you want to go to run fast afterwards. I like to start my warm-up with a curl down, so spinal curl down. And the reason being, it loosens up my neck, my upper back, as well as my lower back, and gets a gentle stretch into my hamstrings already. You start with your chin onto your chest, so you get your neck first, then your upper back, then your lower back, until you're hanging from the hips. And when you're in that position, you can just relax. Take 2-3 deep breaths in and out if you like, and then you come back up. And as you come up, you want to bring your lower back up first, then your upper back, until you unroll your neck. Next off, I like to do some standing rotations. Now, this is not for my legs, this is actually for my upper back, and it's simply because my upper back gets really, really tight while I work at the desk for a long time, and it helps my running, or I feel more free when I run, when I do this. You simply follow your one hand all the way back and follow it with your head as well, and come back to the middle. And then you do the same thing to the other side. Then I go into squats. They move your hips, they move your joint, your knees, as well as your ankles. And they wake up your glutes as well as your quads and give you a gentle lower calf stretch as well. You can squat down in any way you like. I like to stick out my bum to the back and have my arms out in the front and just go as low as I feel comfortable on that day. So if you can't squat all the way down, I'm quite flexible. Ignore that. Just go to where you can squat comfortably. Don't force anything with this. Then next up, your good mornings. Good mornings is a type of deadlift movement. So you've got your feet hip distance apart again. You unlock your knees so ever so slightly they're bent, and you just push your bum out to the back as you then come down with your upper back in a parallel position. And you can feel how your hamstrings stretch as you go down. Again, I'm quite flexible. You may not get down as low as I do. That's absolutely fine. Just move until you feel your hamstring stops you. Stay there for a second and then come back up. Then we've got lunge dips. You have one leg in front of the other, and when you dip down, you want to try and get it that you've got a 90-degree angle in the back hip, and you want to make sure that your knees, the front knee, stays in line with your front foot. And you can tilt your pelvis back a bit more if you don't feel a stretch in the back leg. You want to feel the stretch over the front of the thigh, and you can stay there for a few seconds, just dipping a few times and then change legs. We're waking up the quad muscles. We're giving the hip flexors as well as the quads a nice active stretch as well. And the muscles of the calves also have to work to keep you in that position, especially on the back leg. And you're also contracting your hamstrings and your glutes to an extent. If my quads feel really tight, I like to do a quick quad stretch. Now, I can hear people saying, oh, but you're doing a passive stretch before you run. Well, actually the research shows that if you do a passive stretch for 10 seconds or, well, less than 30 seconds, it's not an issue. So what I tend to do is I do it for about 10 seconds each side, and how many I do depends on how tight I feel. So I do between 2 and 3 each side usually. Next up, we've got bridges. Now, the bridges is excellent for actually stretching the front of the hips as well, so hip flexors, but they can activate those glutes that you've been sat on all day. So you can do any combination of bridges you like. What I like to do is I do 2 isometric repetitions on double legs. So just get them to really squeeze while I'm up there in that position and really activate. And then I do about 5 single leg repetitions on each leg. You can do up to 10 if you like, just don't make yourself tired. The reason I do the single leg ones is they really work the glutes and get them firing nicely. It also helps to wake up your hamstrings to an extent. Okay, then after the bridges, I just do a few calf pumps. So I lean against something and I just lift up and down on my toes so that I get a nice active stretch through my calves. But at the same time, I'm activating them because I'm contracting them to lift myself up onto my toes. Now, how many I do depends on how tight my calves feel that day. I may do between 10 and 20. Just make sure you don't make yourself tired with these. And then finally, we go into leg swings. Now, I like leg swings because we've loosened up all the muscles around the hips. We've loosened up the muscles in the calves. And now we get the nerves to slide with the leg swings. So yes, it is an active stretch for your front of your hip as well as your back of your thigh for your hamstrings. But it also slides your nerve forwards and backwards so that it really makes sure you can move your leg through your full range. And how many you do really depends on how you feel on the day. I usually do between 10 to 20, whatever I feel is needed to get my legs nice and loose. Brilliant. Hope you found that useful. Now remember, if you need more help with an injury, you're welcome to consult one of the team via video call. The link to the website is in the description of this video. Take care.